Hey guys, this is awkward, right? You know, usually when I show up here, something's gonna be, you know, big, right? Nah.
No, it's not.
It is big. No, it is big. I talk to my family. You know, when you live all your life, you know, in basketball, then those things happening, you kind of take it for granted. But when you realize what you accomplish, you know, and who you team up with in the Hall of Fame, is just unbelievable feeling. So overwhelming for me, you know, and what I can say, thankful to, you know, all people that somehow had an impact on my career, and including you guys. Unfortunately, but it's true. No, seriously. I mean, it's a recognition not just for me, but for the people that or organization that I was part of it. You know, and obviously the city. So it's up to you guys to ask me questions. I don't know what to say.
Vlade, you're part of the great influx of European players. How much does that is that a point of pride with you that you were the start of something that became something so great?
I would say yeah. I mean, like I was talking about, like when I started, I said that the first day on ESPN, like, you know, when those things happen, you go back in your career, you know, and where you came from, you know. And I remember the detail when I made a big decision for myself and for my family. Basically, I was just 14 years old, and I had to leave my parents to pursue basketball. It was my mom, dad, and brother. We were sitting together, you know, and I was just listening what they're gonna say, because they had the key, you know, and they had let me go and to dream my dreams, you know. And here I am now on top of the world after, you know, 30 years.
When you look back at your career, when you arrived in the NBA, was there any way you could have imagined how your career would go, and then to get to this moment?
No, really. I all my life I play game because I just love the game. I wasn't thinking about, you know, yeah, you put, you know, goals every year, you know, to become better player, to win this or that, or you know, I remember, you know, when I moved from my hometown to play for that team that was very good in developing players, and my coach, who was one of the most important people in my life, you know, when I was 14, basically he took that parenting, you know, stuff, you know. So I was there, tried to make a team. When I made a team, you know, I was a little greedy. You know, I want to play 5 minutes. When I play 5 minutes, I want to be a starter. You know, and that's how it goes. You know, in professional sports, you always want to do better. And obviously, my dream was when I made the national team to be part of the NBA. When I made the NBA, I wanted to do more. And I'm 50 now. I'm tired. I don't want to do anything. I think I reached all my goals in terms of a player. And this phase that started 4 or 5 years ago with the Kings is a new chapter in my life, and hopefully I can achieve, you know, at least close to that.
Seriously, though, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
When did you know that you wanted to come to America and play this ball, especially at a young age? You know, come somewhere, you know, not.
I would say mid '80s. You know, when, you know, back then, you know, it wasn't like today. You basically take the phone and watch any game that you would like to watch, or any player. Back then, you know, we would get a few tapes of games that already played, you know, and obviously Lakers and Celtics were, you know, big teams with the big players, and we all dreamed one day that we would make that step forward. And fortunate for me, it was me, you know, who was drafted by the Lakers in first round. I was the first European who actually was drafted and came same year. Usually they draft European players, but they stay there. I really commit, you know, to go there and try to make it, and kind of open the door for everybody else.
Vlade, of all your basketball accomplishments, what's the one that sticks out as that you're most proud of?
It was a question, yesterday in Minneapolis. It's really hard for me to take one single moment. I had so many. I had the opportunity to play for great coaches. I had great teammates. But it has to be like my early years with my youth. We won World Championship games, and from that team, basically you're gonna end up, maybe 3-4 Hall of Famers. Already Dino Raja is one, myself. I expect Tony Kukoc to be another one, and we were like 16, 17 years old. But then I made it to national team. We played in Olympic games, so a few of those moments from Olympics were great for me. Winning the medals for my country, and obviously for my team that I play for back home. And that team is still producing NBA players. It's Partizan, who probably has most NBA players went through that system. Bogdan is one of them. Peja and Belly, they were in other teams. That team is not good.
And finally, with Chris Webber, I mean, I know you want to see him go into Springfield as well. Were you surprised he didn't get in this time?
Well, I'm always surprised, when he's not there. But I wouldn't be surprised when that thing happens and will happen. I exchanged messages yesterday. He was one of the first who congratulate, and when I find out, I told him, I was hoping that he's going to be there too. So it would be awesome to be in the same class.
Vlade, congratulations. I'm so happy for you. You talked about the sacrifice of having to leave home to get your dream. And I remember as a player here with the Kings and with the Civil War going on back home, how hard it was for you and all the sleepless nights and all of that. Just talk about that sacrifice of having such a great career here and knowing everything that was going on at the same time.
You know what? I would talk, but I would look bad. Basically my family sacrificed a lot. Mom, dad. They basically didn't spend enough time with me. I left when I was 14, and I never came back home. And then obviously my wife and kids. I was never home. And they sacrificed a lot. And they were kind of main support of. And you can't take anything away from them. This is accomplished for them too.
And then Sean mentioned Chris, but how nice and satisfying is it when you have Doug in the building and Peja, of course, working with you hand in hand, and Bobby on the staff now, all those players around to share this with?
It's great. I got messages from most of my teammates, and it was a lot of through my career, and I'm thankful, they were part of this, they in some way they create me who I am, and I always had good teammates, and I'm glad that Peja, Bobby, and Doug, and even Brad, comes a lot of times, to see the games. So I'm happy to see them be happy for me, because they know that I feel the same. They were part of this too.
Vlade, you talked a little bit about the reflection, the teammates, all of that's happened since you find out the news. I'm more interested. What was your initial situation like? How'd you find out? Who was the first person you talked to afterwards? First call you made. What was that initial wave for you like?
Well, it was head of Hall of Fame called me on Joe on April. I believe it was April 1st, and it looked like an April Fool. So I was like, but somebody else told me that he's going to call me. So it was basically feeling that something is going to happen, And when he told me that I have to keep it quiet, it was very difficult, that you have to kind of keep it for a week for yourself, Obviously, my wife knew it, but I tried to not tell anybody to ruin the excitement and everything that goes with it.
And when you look at your style of play, being a big man who could facilitate, pass, and you look at the way the game has kind of evolved, do you look at yourself as someone who maybe in some ways was a little bit ahead of the game just because you were a big man who did so many different things?
I mean, yeah, in some way, but that's how you see all those great players, try to, they are very important for the games. And I want to say about the question, my class of the Hall of Fame players this year, it's a special group. And when you see their careers, they were like, they were very big for the game in some years, So I feel very proud of them too, being elected. Talking about the group of guys that, and Teresa and being part of this class.
I know Doug talked about him being Doug said he was your rookie.
Yeah.
When he got to the league, and back in those days, you come into the league with Magic and that whole era. Just what was it like for you to come from another country, get dropped in Los Angeles, and that whole scene?
From this distance, I would say it was easy because I had those great people took me under their wings, especially Magic, and Worthy and Byron Scott and AC Green. They really helped me become an NBA player, and I'm obviously thankful for that. But like I said, from this distance, you would say, oh, it was easy. But not speaking English, different culture, different style of the game. Yeah, it was a basketball, but different rules. It was, for me, I felt like it's two different sports. It was tough first year, but I made it.
Vlade, you played on several different teams. Whose jersey are you bringing into the Hall of Fame with you?
Do I have to choose? Well, I think, Kings is a team that all my teams had a big part of my career, but if I have to choose, it would be Kings.